¿Qué tal, chicos y chicas? Soy Señorita Diaz, and today we're going to be talking about the past or the preterito. Now, if you are comfortable enough and you understand how to conjugate verbs in the present tense, just kind of zone off for like the next 30 seconds or so, or whenever the video asks you to move on to the next slide. However, if you don't feel comfortable, please make sure that you're paying attention so that we have a quick little review as to how to conjugate verbs in the present tense. So, when we conjugate verbs in the present tense, we know that we have to drop the endings, and the endings again are AR, ER, or IR, and we then add a new ending according to its subject. That means is for AR verbs, in the yo form you would add an O, the tú form you would have an as, él, ella, usted, a, nosotros, amos, ellos, han. Same pattern follows for ER and IR verbs. The only exception is that in the nosotros form it's different. So in the yo form you would add an O, tú, es, él, ella, usted, e. For nosotros, if it's an ER verb you would add hemos, and if it's an IR verb you would add imos. Lastly, you have en for the ellos, ellas, y ustedes. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the past tenses in Spanish. Just so you know, in Spanish there are two forms of the past tense. The first is known as the preterite or el preterito in Español. The second is the imperfect or el imperfecto. Today, however, we're just going to be focusing on el preterito or the preterite because if you learn them together, it's going to be really confusing, and I don't want you to feel confused. I want you to feel comfortable, so on. Okay, so the preterite is going to be used to express the following situations. The reason why we have to learn when to use a preterite is because if we don't do that, you are going to be confused when we do actually learn the imperfect, because you cannot just choose one and then use it to talk about the past tense. You literally have to know when to use each one of them, because if you don't, then you're not going to really make sense. So the preterite is going to be used to express an action that is terminated or completed. For example, me casé en 1981, which means I got married in 1981. So the action that is terminated or completed in this case is casé or got married, right? That was the action that was completed. Next, we have an action or a state that occupies a limited period of time. What this means is, or the example would be Lorena estudió por 2 horas, which means Lorena studied for 2 hours. The limited period of time would be 2 horas or 2 hours. Now, this could also mean like a weekend. It could also mean a month, so on. As long as it could be a period of time, then it would be el preterito. Next, we have for an action with a specific and indicated beginning or ending. An example of this would be El concierto empezó a las 7. So the concert started at 7, right? The beginning of this concert would be at 7 or at 7. Now, when you're thinking about the preterite, I want you to think that the preterite can be tied to a specific period of time for the most part. So if you're talking about one and done, or you're talking about something that was done again within a specific period of time, whether it's a beginning or an ending, you're going to be using the preterite. Right, now that we know about when to use a preterite, we're now going to talk about the actual verb endings for the preterite. So the following are going to be the verb endings for AR verbs. First, for the yo form or in the yo form, we're going to have e. Now the e has an accent, so please make sure to include that. Para tú, we have haste. For él, ella, y usted, you're going to have o, and the o has an accent on it. Again, please include that. For nosotros, we have amos. And for ellos, ellas, y ustedes, we have aron. So again, the main thing to remember here is that in the yo form and in the él, ella, and usted form, there is an accent on those letters or those endings. So e has an accent and o has an accent. Now we're going to look at ER and IR verbs. Now, the nice thing about ER and IR verbs is that for the nosotros form, it actually stays the same for both of them. Now, for yo, you're going to have E with an accent over the I. Para tú, we're going to have iste. Para él, ella y usted, we're going to have yo, and there's an accent on this O as well. Para nosotros tenemos imos. Y para ellos, ellas y ustedes tenemos ieron. Again, just as we had with AR verbs, in the yo form and in the él, ella, and usted form, we have endings that have accents. There's an accent on the E and on the O. Please make sure to include those, or your conjugation is obviously going to be wrong, or you're going to be conjugated into something that is just not the right thing. So make sure to include your accents, por favor. Okay, now we're going to talk about verbs that are known as gargarsar, or spelling changers in the preterite. We talked about the spelling changers in the present, but those were stem changers, right? So like we had O to UE, I to IE, so on. Now we have something that's a little bit different, and again, they're called gargarsar, spelling changers or spelling verbs. So again, just as we had stem changers in the present tense, in the past tense, we have what are known as spelling changers in the first person singular. What this means is that they are only going to change in the yo form. The rest of the conjugations are going to stay the same. Now let's look at the verb gar, or verbs that end with the verb gar. Okay, so if you have that verb, what's going to happen is your C is going to turn to a QU. Okay? Now, para gar, that G is going to turn to a GU. And then para sar, that Z as in zebra is going to turn to a C as in cow. Again, keep in mind that the rest of the conjugations are going to follow the regular conjugations. The only one that's going to change into these gargarsar verbs is going to be the yo form. Everything else, you would just drop the last two letters and add the correct ending. So let's look at some examples. This is an example of a verb with gar, which again would be C to QU. And we have the verb buscar, which means to search for. If you notice, in the yo form, that C up here turns into that QU. So our new conjugation in the yo form is going to be busque. Right? I still would add my ending like I normally would. It's just that C is going to turn into a QU. Now for the rest of my conjugations, they're like literally the same. The only thing is that again, you drop the AR and you're left with your stem of busc, and then you add your ending. So we have yo busqué, tú buscaste, él buscó, nosotros buscamos, y ellos buscaron. The next verb that we have is going to be the gar verb, so that's going to be a G to GU verb. In this case, we're going to look at the verb llegar, which means to arrive. Now be careful, because I know some of you are thinking, doesn't llegar mean to wear? And that would be llevar with the V as in voice. Okay, this is llegar with the G. So, same thing happens. That G is going to be replaced with the GU right here. Right? And then again, you drop the AR ending and you add your conjugations. So in the yo form, we have llegué, and that U is not pronounced. The only time that you pronounce this U would be if it had two little dots on top of it. It doesn't have that, so we're just going to say llegué. That U is silent. Okay? So yo llegué, tú llegaste, él llegó, nosotros llegamos, y ellos llegaron. The last verb that we have is a zar verb. So this is going to go from Z as in zebra to C as in cow. And we're going to look at the verb almorzar, which means to eat lunch. Now again, that Z up here in almorz, I guess, would be replaced with the C as in cow. So my new conjugation would be almorcé in the yo form. And that C, it would be pronounced like an S. Okay? So in yo form, again, you would have almorcé with your accent. and then tú almorzaste, él almorzó, nosotros almorzamos, y ellos almorzaron. Now you're going to take some time and you're actually going to go through and conjugate the verbs on your own. So start off with the verbs hablar, which means, again, to talk, and vivir, which means to live. Conjugate those on your paper, and then we'll go through and double check to make sure that your answers are correct. Hold off on the last two verbs so that we can, again, do them together. So I'll give you about a minute. Take some time to do that. I'll try not to sing you a song, although I'm sure you want to hear my beautiful angelic voice. But go ahead and conjugate them. Alright, for hablar, did you get? Hablé with an accent on the E. Hablaste. Habló with an accent on the O. Hablamos y hablaron. If you did, fantastic. You just conjugated an AR verb in the preterites. Moving on to vivir, did you get? Viví with an accent on the I. Viviste. Vivió with an accent on the O. Vivimos and vivieron. If you did, you just conjugated an ER and IR verb in the preterite tense. Again, good job. Now you're going to go through and you're going to conjugate the next two verbs, which we have practicar and jugar. Practicar means to practice, and jugar means to play. Again, I'll give you about 30 seconds, so go ahead and take your time. If you need more time, just pause the video so you can go through and conjugate them. I'll talk to you in about 30 seconds. Ready, set, go. Okay, para practicar, did you get practiqué with the spelling changer of a C to QU? And then practicaste for tú, practicó with an accent on the O, practicamos y practicaron? If you did, then you just conjugated a gar verb in the preterite. Para jugar, did you get jugué with an accent on the E and then the G turning to a GU in the yo form? And then jugaste, jugó with an accent on the O, jugamos, and jugaron? If you did, you just conjugated a gar verb in the preterite. That is basically all that we have for the preterite. So hopefully at this point you feel somewhat comfortable conjugating verbs in the preterite tense or the past tense. What you're going to do is you're going to be completing a practice on conjuguemos. Again, we're just going to reinforce these conjugations that we just learned, and we're just going to kind of keep practicing them. I'm sure you're going to be doing well and you're going to kick butt, but if you're still confused about this, don't worry about it. We're going to be practicing this a little bit more. And obviously feel free to just stop the video at any point and ask me a question, or rewatch the video, reread your notes. Again, you have a lot of resources, so if you don't get it, please let me know so that I can help you out. And if you do get it, get started on the conjuguemos activity. Gracias!